Hi guys, my name is Kayla and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As promised, this is a follow-up to part 1 and part 2 of my ulcerative colitis diagnosis story. And I'm basically just gonna pick right up where those two videos ended. If you need more context, I do recommend at least going back and watching part 2 of my ulcerative colitis diagnosis video, because if not, you're probably gonna be a little confused of just what led up to this moment. So to sum it all up, I did have to spend about a month. It was a couple days shy of a month, so like 28, 29 days in the hospital. I gotta tell you something I could do. I went in December, I believe it was December 2nd. I went in, I'll double check that though. I went into the hospital December 2nd, and this is after having to come home in November from college. And I stayed in the hospital again for that first time for about a week. And then I was let out. When I was in the hospital for that week, though, they did switch me to Humira injections. And I ended up, during that duration, testing negative for C. diff. So the antibiotics finally started working, and that was kicked in, and I beat C. diff. And they started me on Humira injections. And ultimately, it seemed like my stool was thickening. The pain had went down, but of course, I was receiving medications via IV. So a lot of that went away. You already know my notebook is down here too. If I'm looking down, that is where it is. And so yeah, after I was released from the hospital, it seemed like everything was going okay for like the first, I wanted to say 4 days. I don't even think I made it to a week of oral steroids before everything just regressed all over again. I was bleeding again. The cramping came back. Wasn't able to eat. I started losing weight again. And so I remember I was receiving Humira injections every 2 weeks at this point. So I did get around to giving myself the second dose of Humira. And still nothing really helped. And I remember just trying to hold out, because in 2 weeks I had a follow-up appointment with my GI doctor. So I was like, there's no need for me to run back to the hospital for them to do the same thing, give me IV medicine, and then send me home. And look at where I am now. So I remember like that day I went into the doctor, and I was just like, I just felt really bad. I felt so bad. And my doctor saw it. He saw it, and he was like, you're going. Because I remember just being so nervous too, because I remember when I initially, because I was seeing him now every week. When I got discharged from the hospital in November, I had to go see my doctor every week after that. So the first week, it was still like a couple of days after I was discharged from the hospital, so everything was okay. But I remember him saying like, at this point, I could only drink Ensure Clears. Regular Ensures are just too thick. They always upset my stomach, so I was on Ensure Clears to substitute from like what I wasn't able to get through eating. And like his thing was, if I came back the next time and I was losing weight, then I was going to get a feeding tube placed, and they were going to make sure that I got the nutrients and everything that I needed. So when I went in, I remember posting it on my private like Instagram and just being like, oh my goodness, I'm probably going to get a feeding tube, but I'm super scared because I was on YouTube like watching people get them placed and then having to like take them out and like fix them, and I didn't want to go through that. But instead he's like, no, you're going to the hospital. We're admitting you again. And this time, like, we're you're not leaving until we have some kind of solution. So I remember just like laying there for about an hour. I think it was nearly I can't remember exactly, but I want to say it was at least an hour of just like laying in the the doctor's like the little observation room thing until they could find a bed for me at the hospital, because everything is a part of the same company where I stay. I mean, and where I live. So the children's hospital, they have different floors. Some floors they see patients, some floors they actually have kids there. But I was going to be transferred over to the actual hospital, which is connected technically. But yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I remember just like crying, and like it's so like splotchy now, like the memories. But I remember crying, and I remember like my doctor like handing me tissues, and I remember my mom just like being in the chair and she was like crying. And I remember just being so cold, like just like freezing. I was freezing. I was in pain. I was hungry. It was a lot. But I did end up getting admitted into the hospital. And from then, I was basically a guinea pig, where I was just being put on so many different types of medication. I mean, different kinds of treatment. But one of the first things they did do was they gave me another Humira injection, like from the bat. And then I was given a PICC, a PICC line, or TPN. I was given TPN on a PICC line. And I still have the scar right here from where they placed it in me. And I can go in more detail like with my experience on TPN, but I don't want this video to be like uber long and having to split it up in 2 parts like I did with the last one. So that was the first thing they did. So they put me on complete bowel rest with the TPN. I could like chew gum if I wanted to. I could have lollipops. They allowed me to drink bone broth, just for like flavor, and I could drink water. But even though I kind of snuck some stuff every now and then, like just to see how I was doing, but no, it was complete bowel rest. And yeah, even with the complete bowel rest in the hospital, I was still like pooping blood. It was nothing really going through my digestive system, but what was like coming out. Like I have pictures, and I don't know if I'm going to put them in yet. I'm still trying to figure out, like, I don't know how YouTube does like with some of the stuff, like some of the, like the graphic content, and I don't want to get flagged or anything like that before I even get a chance to really get started with anything. So yeah, that was the first thing. After, I think we waited about a week or closer to 2 weeks with the Humira to see if that would do anything. It didn't. So I had they decided to give me my first infusion of Stelara. And Stelara, basically, you start off with an infusion, and then after that, it's every 8 weeks self-injection. So then they gave me the Stelara. And yeah. So that with the Stelara, that's a waiting game. It can take up to like 8 weeks, I think, for you to really start to see anything with that. So that was a waiting game. So that's kind of like in the back burner. They're hoping that's kind of doing something in my system while they try to figure everything else out. But from then I was put on. So we have the TPN, we have the Stelara. Then they started a triple antibiotic treatment. And I'll put the 3 names of the antibiotics that they gave me. And I was getting those. I have like because I had my nurse write out what I was getting with the triple antibiotic treatment. And I have it written down in a journal. And I'll put that in the description box, like with all 3. And I forgot what was the like the dosage and the frequency on that. But I was given a triple antibiotic treatment. That did not work. I felt terrible. Nauseous, my head was hurting, my body ached. It was just disgusting. Antibiotics are already like terrible to take, especially females. You know exactly, like with antibiotics, I've never had the experience of having to take them for like any like GYN issues, but just from experience and like hearing them from other people, I've only had to take them for like my ulcerative colitis, but just having to hear the stories of like antibiotics from other people, like, you know, they're terrible. So just imagine having to take 3 of those on really high levels multiple times a day. Disgusting. And then lastly, I was started on cyclosporine. Well, I was given cyclosporine through an IV, which is a very strong rescue medication. And it's been used in cases with chemotherapy. Like my nurses, they all, when they came in, they always came in like suited up, calling it a chemo medicine. It's used most frequently. It's been used with it's most frequently used in transplant cases to make sure that the body is properly accepting the new organ. And I know in some cases they were also using it in trials against COVID, since the pandemic started. So it's a really, really strong medication. I had really strong side effects, jitters. I broke out. I'm not sure if you can really see the scars, but on my cheeks, I broke out in really bad cystic acne from the cyclosporine. And one night with the cyclosporine, so at this point I'm getting cyclosporine and they're still giving me a pretty high dose of prednisone, and any other like oral vitamins and anything that I was taking, they're still giving me those too, on top of like Zorafran, and I'm still taking like oxycodone as needed for pain. I'm sleeping with heating packs almost every night in the hospital. And I remember one night I woke up in the hospital because I was on the cyclosporine drip 24 hours. And it ran super slow, but 24 hours I was supposed to always be hooked up to cyclosporine, unless there was like a short little window where they would have to call the pharmacy and change the bag, and I'd be able to take a shower and like disconnect from my PICC line and get in the shower and like have that little space of time off. But it was really short starting off. And with the cyclosporine, they told me that basically it could take up to 14 days for the cyclosporine to kick in and start working. And it just varies based on people and conditions and everything like that. So I in that time, I think we got around to like between days 8 and 10, I started to feel really discouraged in the cyclosporine, because at this point everything else had failed or just I didn't have a response to it. And I was put, the surgeon team, the surgeons came in and I was put on the queue for J-pouch surgery, 3-step J-pouch surgery, and I was like fully prepared to go through with everything. And then I think around the 12th day, between like the 12th and 13th day, my stool started to harden and there was less blood and there was less frequency. So I started having a reaction to something. We were hoping that it was a cyclosporine, but I was having a reaction to something. And I don't know, for me, it was more so I could have stayed and I could have gotten the surgery when I was in there in December. But I didn't want to, at that point, I wasn't comfortable living like with the what if, because something was changing, something was getting better. And I didn't know, again, if it was just me being on the steroids through IV for a very long time, or this medication is actually helping me and it will give me time, because you can't stay on the rescue medicine for a long time, but it will at least bought me some time for the other medicines, the Stelara, to kick in and start working. And it was just like a big possibility of just like, okay, maybe this is just my medical combination that's going to get me out of the situation. So I ended up holding off on surgery. At this point, I've already like started the surgery prep and everything, but I ended up holding off on the surgery. And I stay in the hospital for about another week or two. At that point, Christmas came and went. I was in the hospital on Christmas. And I have like footage from like being in the hospital on Christmas. So like I'll probably post that as a separate video. But I like vlogged that whole day. And it was really sweet. The hospital like came in at night when we were sleeping, and they like put gifts in, and I got like makeup. I got like a what do you call it, like a squishmallow one of those like things that people go crazy over, like stuffed animal things. I got one of those, and just like some stuff, like some like books and stuff, like to keep my mind occupied and stuff while I was in there. So it was really, really sweet. And the nurses that whole entire time, it was an experience, but they really, really cared. And like you got to, I was in there for a month, so I hope that I was building relationships with them. I would have like my favorite nurses when they came on and stuff. So that was really sweet. And what am I missing? So I touched on everything. So yeah, once my poop started to form, I did start to eat more with, like eat regular foods more, especially during the holidays. My family was cooking. And during this time, my mom was in the hospital with me for the most part of that. They ended up bringing her a bed in. Well, she had a bed in my room because I was still on the peds floor, even though I was 18, because I still see a peds doctor, a pediatric doctor. So my mom was basically spending nights with me. Like every night she was sleeping in the hospital with me until like some days she would like go home during the days and be with my siblings, because they're still in school. And they still need their mom. I need my mom too, but they still need their mom. So times where I was up and the doctors weren't coming around. It just depends. Sometimes it fluctuated depending on which doctors. My timer went off. That scared me. Depending on which doctors would come in is when, depending on like when she would leave and like go home and like take a shower and just get a break from the hospital, because it was a lot. You lose track of time so quickly when you're in there. You lose track of time. The days just start. I didn't realize how long I'd been in there until the end of the month, until Christmas came around, and I was like, really, I've been in here for a while. But yeah, and as I started getting back on track, as I started to eat more, they would wean down the TPN. So I was on the TPN for like 20 hours, and they would like cut it down. And so the goal for me to get discharged from the hospital was for me to be able to orally take all of my medications, for me to be able to eat on my own, which was iffy, because they were perfectly okay with sending me home on TPN if I couldn't eat and deal with the digestion of everything, because I've been on bowel rest for basically a month. But I personally did not want to go home on TPN and have to worry about changing it or anything like that. So I couldn't deal with them. I was like, how about, because at the I had a dietitian come in like every like couple of days, and like I had built a pretty good relationship with her. So like I had talked to her, and I was like, I'm able to eat. I've been eating all this stuff that my mom's bringing me, like from holiday dinners and stuff like that. So how about if we keep the PICC line in? So I'll keep the PICC line in, and we'll like flush it and everything like that, just in case I have to come back. Because again, just from my history, I have a habit of doing really good when I'm in here, and as soon as I get home, things come back. So I'll keep the PICC line in just in case I need to come back, and you guys have to give me medicine and anything through that, but I don't have to go on TPN. And they agreed with that. They were like, okay, sounds like a plan, we can do that. So I ended up not having to go home with TPN, but I did keep the PICC line in. I kept the PICC line in up until January, the end of January. So yeah, around January, like 20, for like another month, basically. And I started off with like having home health come in and like flush it and everything. Well, no, my mom would we had to flush it every day we had to hep block it and flush it with saline every day, and like make sure I was like cleaning my arm. And I had like a sleeve that I bought on Amazon. I can link that in the description box. But yeah, I had a sleeve that I would like get in the shower with. And we didn't really know how long I was going to keep the PICC line in, so I was really close to buying like a cuff for it when I went out, but I ended up not needing to get to that point with it. Just because I have it exactly written out. So just to like get back into like being released from the hospital. Oh my goodness, my words. So I was on a strict calorie count. They were monitoring my water intake. That was really important. I had to like drink like those, like at least 2 of those like big hospital cup thingies. Be on my oral pain meds and medications just in general. I did get another iron transfusion, so they were really watching my my iron levels and my hemoglobin levels and all of that. And I did end up getting, I think, 1 or 2 blood transfusions again while I was in there, between 1 and 3 blood transfusions. So I think I've had a total of like, from like November to December, I think I had like around 5 blood transfusions. Shout out to all you people that donate B positive blood. You have really helped the sister out. And yeah, when I was released from the hospital, overall, I was, again, it seemed like I was doing pretty darn good for myself. I was taking the Cyclosporine at really high levels, and I was really having, the side effects from the Cyclosporine was crazy. They made me feel like terrible, but at the same time, I was getting some kind of relief from the abdominal discomfort and the bleeding and some of the UC symptoms. So at this point, again, like a lot of medications, when just in my experience with UC, the benefits of the medication was outweighing the side effects at this point. But after about 2 weeks of being out of the hospital, my symptoms came back. And I'm laughing about it now, but like it was this like that period of this like end of November, December, January, just having the ups and the sun is like directly in my face, having the ups and downs of just feeling okay, then feeling terrible, feeling okay, then feeling terrible, and like and there was always like a slow progression of getting better, and then a plummet of feeling terrible. And everything seemed like it was going okay. I think at this point I was on 40 milligrams. They released me on 40 milligrams of prednisone. And I was okay up until we tried a steroid taper. So it was a slow taper this time. So I was only tapering by 5 milligrams. And that's why it took more. It took, rather than just like a week, it took more, closer to 2 to 3 weeks for me to really start feeling feeling a difference or feeling worse again, because usually I would go by like 10 milligrams, and I'll start off with 10 milligrams on my tapers and then go down to 5 once I got to lower ones. But no, this was a slow taper. And when I got down to like the 30, at the 30 to 20 range. Yeah, because I want to say when I was released from the hospital, I was somewhere between 50 and 40 milligrams of prednisone. So when I got down to like the 30 to 20 range, my symptoms returned all over again. And at this point, when I was having, I didn't have to schedule an appointment. I had a scheduled appointment already with my GI doctor, and we didn't have any other options. There was nothing else to do. There was nothing else to really try. The only type of biologics that I could be on and still have a normal life was self-injected. The sun is killing me. Was self-injected biologics, because of just a situation with school and just being able to get to a facility, and then the side effects from the biologics. I couldn't go anywhere that was too far. So my doctor, even though he is a nice man, he was like, there's nothing, we don't know anything else to do. We've tried like we tried the Cyclosporine, that was the rescue medicine that was supposed to help you, but we see now that it really wasn't doing anything, because you're still taking that, and it was the steroids that was helping you. And they even tried to go up on the dosage of the cyclosporine. I don't remember the exact. I'll put all this information in the description box too. I don't remember the exact milligrams of the cyclosporine that I was on. But yeah, they tried to go up as much as possible. And I ended up taking magnesium too with the cyclosporine to help balance some of the side effects out. And it didn't help. So he was like, we have to call back up that surgery team again and get you an appointment with them and get the surgeon's recommendation. And I remember going in that office and I was a wreck. I was crying. I was so scared because I was pretty sure that like the surgery was going to be like a definite thing. Now it wasn't anything that I could run from. And I didn't even really know if I wanted to run from it either, because at this point I kind of saw that the Stelara wasn't kicking in, even though I was still taking it. And yeah, I got scheduled for J-pouch surgery about a week later. And I went through with that surgery. And that's been an experience. So I'll definitely get into that my next video. And if you have any questions about what I talked about in this video, make sure the light is not gonna like even out on me. I'm so sorry. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about in this video, make sure you leave them below. And I will answer them to the best of my abilities, or if I feel like I need to like thoroughly explain it again, I'll make a video. But my next video, I'll be talking about going through the actual J-pouch surgery and the prep and everything and the recovery process that I'm going through after that. And I got my J-pouch surgery on January 26th. So it's been, by the time this video comes out, it may have been 2 months. But yeah, I'm really like excited to like be getting like, cause I'm like telling stories of everything in the past now. So I'm excited to be getting like to a point where I'm talking about what's happening to me right now. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. And I'll see you in the next video. They'll either be out this week or next week. Stay safe. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, drinking water, and doing things that make you happy. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you and bye.